Hi, welcome to Skid Space, the place where we try to make art and it sometimes works. In this video, I want to show you my entire series from the Inktober Challenge 2017. I'm really excited because I've never completed an Inktober challenge before, so I'm really impressed that I actually did it this year. Now, going through all 31 days is a bit much for one video, so I'm just going to go over the 5 worst and best pieces from the whole series respectively. I judge all 10 of these pieces in 2 separate categories: the concept and the execution. Bear in mind that all of these are just going to be my opinions. I am by no means an art critic, so none of these observations are going to be deep and meaningful. I simply want to look back on what I did well and what I need to work on. So without further ado, let's do this. I want to get the bad ones out of the way, so we're just going to do those ones first. Day 3, Poison. Getting started on a project is always the hardest part for me, which is funny because the first 2 days of Inktober weren't that bad. The executions were decent, and the concepts were fun and interesting. This one, however, is completely uninspired and lazy. I had no idea what to do for Poison, so I played the word association game, but only went 2 levels deep. Poison. Poison apple. Hey, I'll draw the poison apple from Snow White. How about that? That's a good idea. I'll gotta do that. The concept was basically non-existent, so I kept the drawing simple and didn't add anything for fear that it wouldn't work out. I just started drawing without a plan, and while that can work for concept, sketching, and little doodles, it does not work for a challenge that requires a lot of thought. What I learned from this one is that I need to plan out a composition more before I just dive in. Also, why is the apple on a stick like it's a candy apple being handed out at a fair? That doesn't make any sense. Day 9, Screech. This is an example of fan art that I hope never reaches the subject's eyes. I made this comic in the wake of Markiplier's cryptic Instagram posts teasing another big project. The entire fandom was losing their minds, so I tried cashing in on that initial chaos. The result is not ideal. Everything is too close to the outer edges, the characters are bland, their expressions are boring. That feeling of erratic chaos I was trying to portray was lost on these boring characters. You can tell that I didn't even have a joke or a punchline in mind when I was drawing this comic out. To salvage it, I tried to tell a visual joke instead of a verbal one by contrasting the style with the emotion I was trying to portray, which doesn't work! In the end, this all boils down to those conflicting concepts leading to a sloppy execution. Day 14, Fierce. Yang Xiaolong is an amazingly fierce character with a strong stature and personality to match. I tried to portray that fierceness in a picture, but unfortunately the one I ended up making was extremely underwhelming at best. When portraying a strong and dynamic character, it helps to have a strong and dynamic pose. Dramatic lines of action, interesting perspective, contrasting values, all of these things culminate together to make a visually interesting and striking pose and character. I just didn't or couldn't pull that off in this composition. I tried saving this one by adding some strong lines and flames in the background, but it only ended up cluttering the image instead of adding to it. Day 19, Deep. Not only is this piece visual garbage, but it makes no sense out of context. Here's a little explanation to try to solve that problem. The Trash Goblin podcast has a running joke about a concept for a movie called Deep in the Mud. The joke is that the title is dramatic and intense, but the plot is mundane and boring. In the movie, Jake Gyllenhaal deals with the consequences of not paying his taxes. Since this joke is about a movie, I wanted to design a movie poster based off of the bits and pieces of the joke. Despite the original joke being interesting and funny, the portrayal here falters. The concept didn't get past the planning stages, and the execution suffered for it. Not to mention I managed to make a funny joke look boring. Sorry about that. The thing that makes it so uninteresting is that there's so much white space on the poster. There's nothing in the background, nothing to draw your eye, and nothing to set the tone I was trying to go for. This leads me to the last piece in the bad bunch, and the major problem that it has. Day 27, Climb. If you were on the internet around the spring of 2017, you might have heard talk of a little game called Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. This game is considered a masterpiece in large part because of the beautiful and far-reaching world the player can explore. So for the climb prompt, I wanted to portray Link, the main character, on a perilous climb up a rock face, framed by that vast and expansive landscape. So what did I do? I drew a rock jutting out from the side and some popcorn trees at the bottom! Granted, it was very ambitious of me to think I could easily capture the grandeur of the world in Breath of the Wild, but looking at the end result, it seems as though I didn't even try. Link's body is at an awkward angle, and it doesn't portray just how precarious his situation actually is. The background is devoid of any interesting landscape that could be framing our hero's peril. It's just so boring! In trying and failing to depict that sense of wonder that Breath of the Wild has in spades, I learned that I have a lot I need to work on when it comes to building a physical world around a character. Okay, so now that we have all of those out of the way, let's get to the ones in the good group that I'm actually proud of. Day 10. Gigantic. Compared to most major cities, Pittsburgh is not that big, but it is big enough of a city that when you look at it, the expansiveness of the city and its neighborhoods really is stunning. I've never been good at drawing landscapes. I have trouble portraying depth in 3D spaces, even when using references, which is why I'm so pleased with how this came out. Compared to most landscape drawings, this one is nothing spectacular, but a lot of the elements of landscape drawings are there. The perspective and line work is not the cleanest, but you can tell what the difference between the foreground and the background is. I stepped out of my comfort zone for this one. I was careful in my execution, and the end result is not perfect, but it's definitely successful and what I'm happy with. Day 21. Furious. The Who Killed Markiplier series on the Markiplier channel fell right into the middle of Inktober. I am a big fan of this series. It's 4 whole videos that are 10 minutes in length, all done in first-person perspective. It's awesome. I could talk about this series so much more, but for the sake of the piece, I will grossly simplify the plot points that inspired it. 2 of the characters, Celine and Damien, get stuck in limbo while trying to solve the murder of their friend Mark, only to find out that he had faked his death to screw over everyone else. This results in their other friend going insane, and the 2 of them being viciously fused into a mangled, previously dead body. I don't know about you, but I'd be pretty furious if all of that had happened to me. I really like the contrast in both the colors and the emotions in this piece. Celine and Damien are both emotional to the extreme, bathed in stark contrasting colors, while the body their shattered personality shares tries to stay calm. So in this piece there's a lot of backstory to the concept that you can really appreciate if you know the inspiration to it, even if the execution is simple with just 3 colors and a simple pose. Day 25. Ship. Another big YouTuber project going on around the same time was Jacksepticeye's Septic Art event, so I figured I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone and use a day of Inktober to make something for this event. The concept I landed on was pretty simple. Jack is just getting shipped somewhere in a box. The execution isn't anything special either, but I was really happy with how clean and careful the cross-hatching turned out. The values are very clearly defined, which is something I struggled with in a few of my other Inktober pieces. I wasn't featured in the event, but I did get a lot of positive feedback for a character I rarely get to draw. Day 15. Mysterious. Nothing is more amazing than being a little kid and coming to understand the world for the first time. Cool things are awesome, and the unknown is terrifying. We all had that one thing in our house that scared us for no real reason when we were little. So when thinking of a concept for this piece, I wanted to portray just how mysterious something as simple as a wooden staircase can be to a little kid. The young girl in the piece is cast in darkness as her own shadow falls upon the worn staircase. She can't see the creepy crawlies underneath the staircase, but she knows that they are there. Again, like the other pieces in the good group, this isn't the best or most complex illustration, but the precise execution of the important elements, like the lights and the shadows, work well enough to convey the right emotion. Day 20. Cloud. I really enjoyed the creative process I went through for day 20. I started by taking the word cloud and thought of what kinds of words and feelings I associate with it. Sky, float, light, fluffy, and so on. All of those words culminated into something pretty cool. The girl in the piece has ascended above the clouds and is trying to reach for something higher. Something far above what she can ever reach, but she tries anyway. I also really like some of the more technical parts of this, like how the line thickness changes as you get further into the background. I'm just really happy with this piece, and besides what I've just said, I can't really explain why. There's a certain emotion encapsulating all of it that really resonates with me personally. I just can't seem to put that feeling into words. This might be my favorite piece out of the whole series. So, what have I learned from all of this? I learned that stepping out of my comfort zone when drawing can be pretty scary, but in the end, it's always worth it. Whether or not I did good or bad with this entire challenge doesn't really matter to me. What matters is that I did it. Thank you all for being on this little journey with me. There's a link in the description to a post containing all 31 days of my Inktober 2017 series. Let me know in the comments what your favorite piece from the series was, and if you yourself got a chance to do Inktober. You can follow me on all of these platforms if you want to see more arty goodness from yours truly. Thank you again for watching. Skid is out. Peace. It's like the 5th time! Now going over all through with the the bad, and the good. That's not what the line is. Nope. Oh boy.